One question that businesses and organizations are faced to answer these days is, do I need to have a responsive website or do I need to have a mobile app? It's a great question because every organization is different. The answer is quite honestly going to depend on what type of information you want to serve up and what you want your tribe, your people, your followers, your customers, your leads, what you want them to take away from your brand and from your website or from your mobile app. There's a blog out there called smartpassiveincome.com. It's a blog that has all sorts of really great content, and it also has a podcast as well. It's run by a great guy named Pat Flynn. Check it out, smartpassiveincome.com. Anyways, Pat just released an app for Smart Passive Income. He calls it SPI, Smart Passive Income. And the app contains all of the information from the blog plus podcast. He runs a podcast for it. And so it really makes sense for Pat to have an app. I didn't mean to make that rhyme, but it did. It really makes sense for him to have an app because people are going to want to be downloading the podcast and saving all of this great educational material offline so that they can look at it later. Really makes sense. You'll have a lot of app manufacturers tell you that you don't need to waste the money on a responsive website. What you really need is you need to have an optimized mobile app. That's just not the case. Likewise, you'll have a lot of web developers who want to sell you responsive websites saying you've got to have a responsive website. That's not the case either. The reality is that every single business is different. And what you need to decide is what you want people to walk away with. If your website is just serving up basic content about who you are, what value you can provide potential clients, and maybe a little bit of education and information about your industry, you really probably don't need an app. Likewise, if you are just providing tons of great media content, video, audio, lots of pictures, you're delivering a lot of content that's really bandwidth heavy, and you don't want people to have to be using their data plans to download all of this media heavy content, you may want to consider getting an app and updating your app in order for people to download it and use offline. Bottom line here is every organization is different. Don't buy into the line that you have to have an app for smart devices in order to be relevant. Yes, there are plenty of companies that really do need to have it. If you're a religious organization and you put all of your messages online, you really should consider having an app. But don't buy into the line that everybody needs it. Responsive web design is a great practice, but you don't have to have responsive web design if it's going to cost you $30,000 in order to have a great website. There are alternatives. So hopefully this gives you a little bit of freedom to make the decision for your organization whether or not you need to invest in an app or a responsive website. I'd be more than happy to give you some free advice if you just leave a comment in the comment section below. I'll be more than happy to chime in and let you know what my personal opinion is for your organization. But bottom line is every organization is different. Yours is no exception. Decide for yourself what's best. Don't be fooled by anybody that has an agenda to sell you one thing or the other. Hope this is helpful.